Welcome to Lakeland Community College. My name is Mary Urbas. I am the Gallery Director and Exhibition Curator. What we're going to be doing today is I'm going to be doing a video walkthrough of the From Woman 13 exhibition that I curated. It features 43 women, mostly from Ohio, but I also have artists from Arizona, Georgia, Indiana, Oregon, and Pennsylvania. Like I said, this is the 13th year that I'm doing this show. Lakeland is located on Route 306, just south of the I-90 and Route 306 interchange. Our gallery hours are Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m., and Saturday and Sunday from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. So come along for the journey. I'm going to be talking about the artists, the pieces, a little background about everybody. I hope you enjoy the video walkthrough. Okay, we're going to start today's video walk through the show with these are two pieces by Shari Wolf. These are acrylic on canvas. Boy, I met Shari years ago when I worked at the Valley Art Center. She gave me work from when I had my gallery in Chagrin Falls, and she's a new artist to the collection this year. I try to bring in at least 15 to 20 new women artists every year to the show. This next piece, which is called Morning Dove, is done by Lainey Bachman. She's from Columbus. I just met her about a year ago. This is Betty Skufko. What is this strange place? For those of you who've been paying attention, Betty is a 91-year-old artist who paints every day. She paints in her studio every day, and I'm just trying to support her. She does this technique which she calls dadaism, and then she also hand paints the frame of the painting also. Next we have Deborah Butler. Deborah is a CIA graduate. This is Time is of the Essence. It's graphite and colored pencil, and it has a skull on it. I know. Imagine that I would include a piece with a skull on it. Next piece is The Wren Guardian by Carrie Gortz. Carrie has a studio in West 78th Street Studios on the second floor, so every third Friday, go check out her studio, see what she's been working on. These next two pieces, the first one, these are done by Beth Nilgis Nahampkin. The one on the left is Butterfly Mandala with Rising Sun, which is oil on canvas. And then it's next to Love Mandala, which is acrylic on canvas. I wanted to go for a different vibe with this year's show, especially with the postcard, something that was light and bright and colorful. And Beth is known for her inspirational quotes, her poetry, her sketchbooks, her writings. So I just wanted to have a little bit lighter, more loving vibe, because God knows we sure need it this time. You know, with everything that's going on in this country, with politics and the virus, and it's just, we need art as an escape. This next piece is done by a former colleague of mine, Jen Marie Zalesnik. She taught here at Lakeland until she just recently got a full-time job at Cochise College in Arizona. This is called It's Just an Afterlife, and it includes her signature trademark awesome rendering of an animal, and then she does these star maps in the background. So she sent this piece in, had a framer frame it, and then her mom dropped it off to me so that we could include her in this exhibition. We have three more pieces of Beth Nilgis Nahampkin. This first one is Metamorphosis, which is acrylic on canvas. And then we have Dragonfly in Sun Mandala with stages of transformation. It's a watercolor. And then we have this other one, You Are Love, which is watercolor. The thing that first struck me about Beth's work is besides the color and the dot patterns, where it's kind of like a quasi-aboriginal art, it's very folk art looking to me. It's very low-tech, and I just love her inspirations, and I love her iconography, her symbolism. Now this next piece is done by Lisa Kenyon, Dragonfly Migration, and you know Lisa more for her, I think more for her bronze sculptures. This is actually a cast paper piece and ink on watercolor paper, and then she printed the dragonflies onto the paper and then attached to the substructure. And then as my wonderful assistant will hopefully catch, look at those beautiful shadows. That's a gift when I have the lights coming from the different directions. Next we have Beth Nash from Marietta, Ohio. She teaches down in Marietta College. This is Butter Boys, acrylic on wood panel. And what I like about Beth's pieces is the color, the subject matter, but then she also takes her presentation to the next level and then paints on the frames also. And we're going to finish this last wall in this room. Sandy Schellenberger's, these are cold wax and caustics. The top one is Some Kind of Wonderful, and the black, red, and white one is called Reflections. This is a textile piece by Sandy Schellenberger called Connections, Peggy. Sandy does a lot of hand dyeing, screen printing, mixing of collaging different fabrics and different techniques. This is another piece of Sandy Schellenberger's called Forgiving New Connections. Now this next piece is a mixed media piece by Annie Peters, and it is sticks and vines, paper and sinew, and it's called Incubation. And as we come around and you see the sculpture again, the shadows that appeared on the wall and on the floor for this piece were just pretty spectacular. And then we kind of bookmark this piece with another piece of Sandy Schellenberger's with the silkscreen fabrics, and this is called Remnant. Of course, you're bringing in shapes and colors of growing things, of natural elements. And then you come across Lisa Kenyon's piece called Displacement, which is bronze on a steel base. And if Dan could get up close, you can see on the left pod, there's figures, and then on the right pod are a bunch of different animals, which I believe are probably on the endangered species list. And then as he pulls back, you'll see these wonderful shadows again. And then this complements the large piece of Kathy M. Scared called All That Remains, which is mixed media on plywood. And it's kind of hard to see, but a lot of the brown little elements are rose petals that she had collected and integrated into her composition and into her surface. This next triptych is a piece by Kimberly Chapman. It's called Pouring Spouts. It's porcelain. And there's obviously a heads up to the female anatomy. But what's nice about this piece, if you take the time, I don't know if it's going to show up in the video, the subtle colorations of the porcelain, of the glaze, how some are pink on the left, and the center has a green cast, and then on the right has a different cast to it. And like I always say, it's always preferable to see the work in up close, in person, but I can appreciate unfortunately what's going on now with the virus and the hysteria that's going around. We've got Purell stations in the front and the back of the gallery. I encourage you to come check out the show with your own eyes. I also want to encourage you guys to come on Sunday, March 22nd, because that is the Women of Achievement Award presentation from Lakeland's Women's Center, and it is also the meet and greet artist reception for this exhibition. Again, Sunday, March 22nd, the Women of Achievement Award start at 2 o'clock. The gallery reception starts at 3:30. It is free and open to the public. Here's another piece that's an example of women's anatomy. This is Lisa Rushman's Gaze of Gaia, and this is glass mosaic. These next four pieces are done by Emily Splain. These are watercolor pencil, pen on paper. The top left is called Coming of Age. The top right is called Chief 2. The bottom right is called Shaman 2, and the one next to it is Wartime Shaman 2. Emily is speaking to her ancestral heritage as being a Lakota Indian. So she's now getting into her heritage and the war paint and the role of women in those societies. And then next to it is a painting she did, a mixed media on wood, called The Himba Rhino. And as some of you may or may not realize, that the rhino is going on the endangered species list, as quietly they listed the giraffe, and the elephants are on their way too. So we're living in some pretty strange times, and I'm hoping that we can grab these and save them and keep them, because there's going to be a time where our children will never have seen them with their own eyes. They'll only see them in books or photographs, or maybe still living at a zoo. This last piece of in this first room is again another piece by Deborah Butler called Genesis, and this is graphite and colored pencil on paper. Here's another piece by Betty Skufka called The Prince. And I just want to let you guys know we are on Instagram, the gallery at Lakeland. Go check out Instagram. My assistant Jeremiah, he takes photos of the show, and he's my Instagram guy. But guess what? I don't know if for those of you who don't know this, I now have a cell phone, Alert the Media, which means I'm going to be getting on Instagram and sharing more things, more images whenever I can. Because that's what you do in 2020. Okay, this next suite of paintings is done by Jennifer O'Mates from Kent. These are all acrylic on canvas. The smaller one on the top left is called Planing the Gem. The one below it is called Geomark. The larger piece in the center is called Push. And then the top one is called Yellow Stripe Harp, and the bottom one is called Solo Dancer. Again, I try and inject pieces that are non-representational, more abstract, because I realize I like the really, really busy, illustrative kind of work, and I know sometimes you need a visual break, and that's why I will inject an artist who's doing abstract pieces. Now this next trio of pieces, these are in two different media. This is a Puerto Rican artist named Sharon Pomales Towsley. The top one is called Our Legacy, which is oil on linen panel. And the bottom one, I don't know if this is going to show up or not, but the bottom one is called Annalisa, and it's actually a pastel with museum glass on it. When I first looked at this piece, I thought, oh my God, I can't believe she gave me a piece that was so vulnerable that didn't have anything on it. But there is glass on it, and you almost don't see it. So it's great for when you're trying to take photos for photo reproductions, but it's also good to protect the piece itself. And then there's this other piece is called Introspection, which is oil on panel. This year I did ask my artists to be a little bit more political, more activist in their leanings. This is a piece that may offend people. This is a Akron artist named Gwen Waite. It's called Free Abortion. It's found object assemblage. I don't want to get too close to delve too much into the whole politics of this issue. I am all about choice, and I believe that women should have choice. And there's some there's some things going on that I wish weren't going on, but I don't want to inject this into what we're filming today. Okay, the wall piece is a four-panel piece by Paula Isidoric called Multi-Modular, and actually these could be hung any which way. This is the order that she originally planned them, but they're the same size, they are hung the same way, so technically I could change them, the panels right to left, I could change up to down. And when I was a student at the Institute of Art in Cleveland, we were taught that an abstract piece, a truly successful abstract piece, will function and will be successful no matter what direction that you're looking at it. And then I chose the work of Teresa Yondo, the ceramic sculpture pieces, some to kind of accentuate or augment what's going on in polished pieces with the marks and the shapes and especially the circular and ovoid shapes. And Teresa's work, what's fun about her pieces, some of the pieces are wood-fired stoneware and some of them are electric-fired porcelain. So the ones on the left are wood-fired and the ones on the right are electric, but then she also put holes in the back of these so these could be shown both sides. They could also be shown on the wall. But in this case, I chose to show them on the surface of a pedestal to kind of complement polished pieces. This next piece is done by Laura Lee Hudson. And Laura Lee is a jeweler. She taught here at Lakeland for a short bit. And this is called Tweeted Obsolescence. It's a laptop writing desk, various documents, a nib pen, brass inkwell, a magnifying glass, a pocket dictionary, a letter opener. It's, you know, unfortunately the art of writing letters seems to be waning, but I try and write letters and cards to people from as often as I can because I believe in that lost art, in that making a connection with someone. These next three pieces are done by Kathy Rogers. Kathy lived in Northeast Ohio until recently, and then she relocated to Georgia. The first piece is A Woman of Means, oil and canvas. The top image is Madame G, which is pan pastel on vellum. And then the bottom piece is called The Seamstress, which is also pan pastel on vellum. Okay, as we're trying to get a better shot of this piece, this is done by Marilyn Zalay. She's known for her mastery of the human figure, her hands, her portraits. This woman knew how to draw. And normally I show the work of living artists, but she passed away, and I just felt that I wanted to give homage to her so you guys could see the incredible work that she did. This one is called The Sadness of Miss Jane. It's graphite and mixed media on paper. Now this next piece is done by one of the premier portrait painters in Cleveland, Stanka Kordic. Stanka is an Institute of Art graduate. I met her when we worked together at American Crafts for Sylvia Allman. This is an oil on panel. It's actually a portrait of Eileen Dorsey. Eileen Dorsey is a painter, artist who has a studio West 78th Street, and I think she just won a poll last year, either Cleveland Scene or something like that, for the best artist in Cleveland. So, although her work's not included in the show, a visual of her, a portrait of her is. For those of you guys, this next piece, you'll recognize the face of Nancy Cintron. Nancy is an artist, but she also runs the Good Goat Gallery in Lakewood. She was a muse of Marilyn Zalay. Marilyn drew her many times, and this piece is called Women Grieve. It's also graphite mixed media on paper. And now the next three pieces are collage mixed media paintings by Susan Krauss. This first one is called Fundamental Spaciousness, and all three of these are mixed media on paper. The second piece is called Pathfinding Experiment, a tribute to Hundertwasser. And for those of you guys who know me well, you know that Hundertwasser is one of my favorite artists. He's an Austrian artist. I just love the decorative pieces, and if you know me at all, you've seen my little black book in my purse that is filled with some of his paintings and drawings and pieces on paper. I just love the decorative quality of his work. And like I said, these are fun pieces by Suzanne because of the abstract quality. And in that very first piece that we showed, some of the accents are purple, and that's the color of my hair these days. So I try and curate pieces that match with my hair. And I'm just kidding. It just worked out that way. Okay, we're going to show you a few assemblage pieces by Ana Luisa Sanchez. Excuse me. This first piece is called Suffragette because I had asked some of my artists to create pieces that might instill the whole idea of the 100 years of the women's right to vote, the suffragette movement, what women did for us to get to this point. So this is quite a monumental year, and I'm so glad that she was able to do a piece that kind of speaks to that. And of course it has a skull on it, so what's not to like? Now this next piece that she did, that Ana Luisa did, it's called The Girl Behind the Mask, and it's kind of like a portrait of Frida Kahlo and her husband, Diego Rivera. And what's cool, and normally I don't do this, but I'm just going to do this, is that she made, check this out, she made a little mask that came off the little face. I love this little mask. So normally I don't encourage the interactive pieces here, but I just had to show you how the little secret behind this piece. And here's another piece by Ana Luisa Sanchez called Woman of Color. And these pieces, the elements in the background, she actually recycled, repurposed from Lake Erie. Now this next piece, this is done by Indiana artist Patricia Swearinger Hecker. It's called Perfectly Flawed. She has a company that she runs and operates with her husband John called Tattoo Dreams. And what she did is she took some of her stamps, put them on paper, on tissue paper, and then decoupaged them onto the figure itself. There's a red dot on that piece because a collector saw that piece just as it was leaving the studio en route to my show and purchased it. So a lot of these pieces are for sale. I encourage, if you're interested in a piece, you can contact me at murbas@lakelandcc.edu. You can contact me, my office phone at 440-525-7029. You can always go to the Lakeland website, key in the words Art Gallery, and my contact information will come up. But like I said, I do encourage you to try and come see the work in person because you'll see the nuances, especially in a piece like this, the little details that even though Dan is my videographer extraordinaire, some of these details just aren't going to show up. Okay, here's another piece by Gwen Waite called Don't Call Me Pretty. Again, it's found object assemblage. And I put it in front of Lainey Bachman's two pieces. The left piece being electric demure because she's got an electric eel around her neck. It's acrylic on canvas. And then this piece of Gwen's went so well with the chains because here's the piece, Enamels Sola by Lainey Bachman also, which is acrylic on canvas. So it's kind of fun when these little themes and these visual threads kind of show up. We have another piece this year by Susan Shy. She has a studio called Turtle Moon Studio in Worcester, Ohio. This is called the 8 of Pyrex Cups in the Kitchen Tarot. What she does is she takes a piece of fabric, she writes on it, she talks about what's happening in the day. This is about Greta, Nancy, and the two Rachels. She talks about democracy now, speaking up for the truth. She talks about Silent Spring and Greta Thunberg and Nancy Pelosi and Amy Goodman. Of course, we've got Rachel Maddow on the bottom left corner. And usually if you go to her website, she has pages and pages of text to tell you what she was thinking about or what inspired her. And she sees what's going on in the world or in our country, and she feels that she has to make a comment and give attention to things that are going on. Okay, this next piece is Betty Skufka's A Step Away from Reality, oil on canvas board. We've got two pieces of Beth Nash. The first one is called Rose Mist, and the second one is White Dog and a Fool. They're both acrylic on wood. And what's cool is, again, this is one of those visual threads. We have these beautiful faces with flowers in their hair. That's a song, I think. And then I was able to complement it with Deborah Butler's drawing of graphite called Betrayal, of the young girl with the flowers in her hair. There's another piece by Susan Scheid called The Impeachment Polka, 7 of wooden spoons or wands in the kitchen tarot. And she talks about the 2 other presidents that were impeached. One being Andrew Johnson, Bill Clinton, and then Nixon resigned to avoid impeachment. So as she puts in her quilt, so where does America go now? This next piece is done by Judy Takis. For those of you who've been paying attention, this is part of her Chicks with Balls series. This is called Norma Knows and Norma Gets It. Again, it's oil on canvas. And then this last piece on this part of the wall is Gwen Waite's Grin and Bear It. Again, it's an assemblage. And again, it worked out that I was able, here we have meat cleavers on a wall full of wooden spoons. So again, sometimes these might be mundane themes that come together, but sometimes they're just gifts. And again, those are some fun shadows on the wall from the different layers of the different lights hitting it. And with an assemblage artist, it's all about the pieces parts. This is another piece by Gwen Waite called Shitting Balls, with the bedpans and antique little stools, and then balls of all different shapes and sizes. This is Laurel Herbold. Laurel has a studio on West 78th Street. This is called 50 Years Deep. When I first saw her working on this painting, all she had done is the face, and she'd show me the figure, and oh my God, when she brought it in, I swear it brought me to tears. The goddess is holding a pearl. She's holding like a Titan sword. In the background behind the school of fish, you'll see an octopus, and then on the bottom is this absolutely magnificent Honu, a turtle. For those of you guys who know me, know I just got back from Hawaii, and when she brought this in, I was already feeling homesick for the big island of Hawaii and for the turtles that I swam with at Punaluu Black Sand Beach. And there's this little guy, and all I wanted to do is go under his chin and give him a little scratch. These next 3 pieces are reduction lino cuts by Pennsylvania artist Mary Hamilton. The top one is called Medusa's Good Hair Day. The bottom one is called Create. Obviously you've got the artist with the beret and the paintbrush in her hand. And then the third piece is called Journey. And now what a reduction lino cut is, she starts with a piece of linoleum, she prints one color of the design, and then she carves away, prints another one, and so by the time that she is done with the print, there's nothing left of the plate. And so and that's why you see these small additions of up to 35 or 40 pieces. And then it also kind of speaks to her incredible craftswomanship, because when you're doing something like this, the registration is key. There's a very low tolerance to this, because if it's off registration or askew, it kind of ruins the whole thing. Now this next painting, I'm hoping that we can pick this up. This is Betty Skufka. It's very subtle in the portrait part. It's called I Laughed at My Ego, and she doesn't come around as much anymore. I love that Betty has a very dry, dark sense of humor, and you look at her and you would never believe the stuff she's done over her 91 years of living on this planet, the artists and musicians that she's lived with and has hung out with and has interacted with. And of course I love the fact that she's got her skull earrings on in this self-portrait too. Now these next 3 pieces are painted silk. These are by Barbara Bloom. You're gonna recognize the subject matter of the bookend, the 2 pieces. The one on the left is called Klimt's The Kiss. The piece in the center is Women in a Peacock Frame. And then the third one is Klimt's Adele Block-Bauer. Again, I wanted to include this in the show because of the decorative quality that Barbara's been doing. And yes, these are direct homages to Klimt, but it is also her interpretation of the subject matter, where she uses this gutter resist to do the black lines, and then she does the opulent gold on gold. And like I said, it's her take on a very familiar subject. These next three pieces are done by another premier portrait painter in Cleveland. This is Tricia Common. She has a studio in Murray Hill, Little Italy. These are oil on canvas. The top one is Anita brushing her hair. The one underneath is Poetic Glance. And the third one is Sunday's Pose. And if you go to any major amusement park or outdoor public space for entertainment for kids, she's the company that's there that's doing the caricatures or the paintings, the drawings, and she has encouraged hundreds of artists over the years that she has had this company. So she's not only is she an artist, she's also a promoter of the emerging artists and a supporter. This next mixed media piece on wood is done by Lorelei Scazenta. Though you might remember that she used to have a shop in the old river shopping center in Rocky River called Devout Home. This piece is called The Bright Couple. We have 4 wool cotton hand-woven textile pieces by Deborah Silver, where she's using a tapestry technique. The top left is called Finding Amelia. The one below it is called Don't Frack With Me. The top right is called Appeasing the Angry God. And then the bottom one is Someday I'll Be on My Own. These next 2 pieces are done by Jamie Zentz. Jamie Zentz is also an Institute of Art graduate. She was my installation assistant up until recently. The one on the left was called Nocturne, and this piece is called Scorpio. It's pencil on oil on birch, and what she does is she'll take a piece of birch and she'll look at it, and it will tell her what kind of composition that she needs to integrate into it. But then some of the details that she pulls out of the background are just incredible. You just never know what she's going to pull out or what she's going to create as she works her pencil on the surface. Okay, this next grouping is done by the artists collectively known as Mandem. It's 3 artists named Moko, Maze, and Kiki. The top piece is a painting, which is oil on canvas, and it's part of the Medical Trials of the Saints series that they've been working on. And this is, boy, I hope I pronounce this correctly, Translating Theotokos. And then these 2 pieces on the bottom, these are encaustic collage on embroidery hoops with them, where she's added embroidery, and these are called Her Brother's Keeper. And then the last piece is a handmade book that they created, and they're encouraging people to look through it and thumb through it, because they said repairing the pages is part of the whole experience, and they're encouraging people to interact with it and look at it and look at the different pages. You know, with the different drawings and the different writings that they've included. And with some of these, there's like pieces parts that are included also. Okay, as we go out into the hallway area of the gallery, this is a piece by Kathy Scarrett called Wordless, and this is mixed media on canvas. Kathy has a studio in Article Gallery, which is in the Waterloo Arts District, and they have a first Friday event called Walk Over Waterloo every month. So if you have a chance, go check out Walk Over Waterloo, go check out the Article Studios, and you'll see the work of Kathy Scarrett and a few other artists that are also in the gallery space. This next piece is another piece by Deborah Butler, Stop the Violence, graphite and colored pencil and paper. Now these next three pieces are done by my colleague Becky Grasser. She teaches IT here at Lakeland Community College. These are gun bichromate over gravure, so these are on watercolor paper. So these are ancient or old revered techniques, and she has the privilege of being able to travel. So the one on the left is called The Past and Future. It's from Edinburgh, Scotland. This middle piece, Will No One Rid Me of This Troublesome Priest? And this is from Canterbury Cathedral. And the third piece is Holyrood Pillars. And this is also in Edinburgh, Scotland. These next two round canvas pieces are from Evie Zimmer. Evie just relocated back here from Florida. We're glad she's back. She's teaching at Tri-C. She's got a studio over at the Cultural Center in Shore. The one on the left is called Ama La Vida. Ana La Vida. And this next one is Dolce Vita. Although some people have looked at it and they think that they see two skulls facing each other, or they also see that V shape in the center as being the forehead of a skull. And I don't know, maybe that's unconscious. Maybe that's why. I mean, I personally like the color of the pieces. The purple matches my hair, but you know, there's always seems to be this undercurrent of me picking out pieces that have skeletal parts of it in it. It's just, you know, me and my skull and skeleton show, I see skulls everywhere. This next piece is a bronze by Lisa Kenyon. This is called Sentience. What's nice is you've got all these different impressed textures and the different qualities. Again, we've got some great shadows happening from the way it's been lit. This next piece you'll recognize is Judith Brandon. Judith is also a Institute of Art graduate. This is called Battlefield. She's known for her landscape pieces. She's also, if you look closely, there's drawings underneath, there's diagrams. She currently has a show up at Paul Lesko Gallery of these huge pieces that she did, and she actually was hoping to give me one for the show, but the elevator broke in the building, and so her show has been extended for an undetermined amount of time because she can't get the work out of the building. But her work is incredible, and I think you'll agree why I keep inviting her to show in my woman show. Now this next piece has got a lot of sentimental value to the artist Annie Peters. It's called Ready to Vote. My grandmother Annetta in 1920, her grandmother voted for the first time women were able to vote. Isn't that cool? I just think that's so cool that she's got a picture of her grandmother that she put on slate, and there's that little timepiece about it. It's time, it's about time. And it's next to another piece of Annie's, again, that has these beautiful shadows on it. It's called Woodland Womb. It's sticks and vine and paper. And what's nice is she helped me out by giving me a hanging device, because unfortunately, while this is the largest gallery space in the Tri-County area, I can't do a lot of suspending from the air. So we were able to achieve this suspended look to it by her providing me with this decorative hook that gets it off the wall. First piece on the left is another piece by Carrie Gortz, which is Guardian of Fertility. It's acrylic ink on enameled paper. We've got two more pieces of Shari Wolf. The first one is called Girl with the Snail Shell Hair, and the one on the bottom is She Had Flowers in Her Hair, and these are both acrylic on canvas. We've got two more little gems by Lainey Bachman. The one on the left is called Bat Hat. It's acrylic on canvas. And the one on the right is called Sugar Plum, also acrylic on canvas. Here's another piece of Shari Wolf called Kundalini Girl, which is magic markers on paper, so it's kind of a collage. This is another piece by the group known as Mandam, and this is another piece from the Medical Trials of the Saints called Saint Persephone. So it's a photograph. These next 5 pieces are acrylic on canvas pieces by Mary Urbas. I've known Mary Ann for quite a while. She teaches school out in this area. She's a wonderful artist. I like this new series that she's been doing. Some of these pieces, this first one is called Calm in the Storm. Some of them are very literal landscapes. Some are a little bit looser. This next one is called Fallspiration. This next one is called Lovin' Fall Colors. The Lowlands. And then the final piece is Maybe in the Clouds. I just love her handling of the color, of the shapes, the different temperatures, the fact that she's got so many different shades and chromas of blue, you know. So I like that she kind of pushes the envelope that way. This next grouping of work is more work by Laurel Herbold. In the center is a painting, acrylic on canvas, called Fish Lips, but then she started doing these pieces where she took end grains of wood and glued them together and painted on them. So the one on the left, and these are acrylic on wood, the one on the left is called Crescent, the one above is called Starry Eyes, and then the one on the right is called Shifting Gears. And again, she has a studio in West 78th Street Studios. You can always see the rest of her work on a third Friday. She's also a mural painter, a graphic designer. She does a little bit of everything. Here's another circular painting by Evie Zimmer called Undertow, oil on canvas. And then we have 3 paintings by Eva Wolf that show a little different perspective to a waterscape. These are oil on canvas. The first one is called Lost. The rectangular piece is called The Silence. And then the third piece is called Found. And I just love the fact, the perspective where she's under the water looking up to the surface of the water. It's just a different perspective, and the way the light hits the woman, the light beams coming through the water, and then she's blowing the bubbles out. To me, it's a very compelling composition. These next 2 pieces are done by Laura Lee Hudson. You just saw the back of the piece called The Day the Mirror Quit Lying. It's brass cloisonné enamel, an etched mirror mounted on cherry wood. And then the other piece is a pendant pin, and it's called Mama's Pearls of Wisdom from her Brain Occupation series. And it's cloisonné enamel, sterling silver, and pearls. Now this case might be a little overwhelming. Maybe let's start in the center. I want you to see the grouping by Janet O'Rourke. Janet and her husband were woodworkers that we used to carry at Sylvia Ullman. So for me to have her back in the gallery 25 years later is a personal achievement for me. It's kind of like Janet's back in the house. And these are turned wood, carved and painted. The teapot in the center is called Queen of the Fae Teapot Set. The one on the left is called Sparkle Nectar Teacup Masquerade Queen of the Fae, and that's turned and painted maple. And then the second cup is called Sparkle Nectar Teacup Rosebud Fairy, turned and painted maple. And then what she did is she glued the Swarovski crystals on there. So the craftsmanship on this is impeccable. Again, another piece you really need to see up close and personal to enjoy it. And so what worked really well is that Beth wanted to show examples of her sketchbook. So Janet's iconography, her symbolism, her illustrative pieces were a beautiful complement, I felt, to Beth's sketchbooks. And as you can see, Beth's sketchbooks are full of writing and prose and poetry. And some artists like to do sketches, and other artists like Beth, she did full paintings on some of these pieces. And she started with these smaller square sketchbooks and realized she needed to have more space to do her writings, and she wanted her paintings and sketches to be larger. So, and again, these are just open to some of her favorite parts, and you never get to see these because unless you come to her studio or come to a show where she can show them to you. And then the 4 pieces on the bottom are sketchbook pages that she just took out of one of her sketchbooks so that she could show you the difference in what she did as far as her technique and her iconography, her symbolism, and obviously her work is all about the narrative, is what you're seeing and how she's explaining it. So we're going to end the show. Again, 43 artists are showing 136 artworks. And the last piece is done by Melissa Harris. This is acrylic on canvas, and it's called Blood for Water. It's an activist piece where she's trying to kind of gain attention or get people to look at the fact that, look what we're doing to our planet, look how we're destroying it, how we are allowing fracking, how we are allowing the water to be polluted. We are allowing mining in private sacred burial grounds. It's just crazy. I just hope that somehow we get a moment of logic, a moment of clear thinking, and start working to protect our planet, to protect the animals. Because you know what? There's no second chance here, and we have to do this for future generations and to keep it for our children and our children's children. So again, thank you for coming along on the journey. The show is up through Friday, March 27th, 2020. Again, I want to encourage you to come on Sunday, March 22nd at 2 p.m. in the PAC, the Dr. Wayne Rodahorse Performing Arts Center. The annual Women of Achievement Award ceremony will be presented by Lakeland's Women's Center, and then at 3:30 we start the reception for the artists. So thanks a lot for coming along. I hope you enjoyed this tour today, and we'll see you again sometime soon. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye. Aloha.